Are we there yet? Ready or not?
Okay, the name of this spinners is called the One and Only Curling Iron, Hyde version. I figured we've got to get to the bottom of this, hence the one and only curling iron. Why did we do that? We had one curling iron for 6 girls.
I think we ever even told you about it. Like, it never, for me, it never occurred to me that to go and ask you for another one.
I feel like maybe the reason why is he did raise kids that we tried not to ask for stuff. Like I think we did try not to ask for things.
I think that we were that was our reality. That we just thought there was just one curling iron per family.
I honestly don't ever remember thinking of even asking, or even thinking that that was in the realm of possibility.
Well, we never complained. I never said a thing, which is so dumb. Like, I can't
Can you
afford it.
imagine Mindy never saying anything?
And I really don't know why we didn't ask for another curling iron for Santa or something. I'm sure he would have brought us one. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bathrooms. So
5 bathrooms and 1 curling iron.
1 curling iron. Maybe you guys were forward thinkers and you're like, we're going to teach our children the beauty of sharing and how to get along. And
That just makes me more neurotic because I know that is absolutely not true.
just
We knew about it, but yet, maybe because you didn't say anything, we said, oh, it's okay. But now, I suffer PTSD from it. I think I have a little PSTD about it. I've got a little PSTD about this thing.
people talk a lot about PTSD and joke about it. Teenagers do nowadays, like anything that they are stressed about. And I'm like, but there is really only one thing in my life that can shoot horror through my heart is this.
I've got to be able to satisfy my messed up psyche over this. So, way to
And
go,
it
Mindy.
continues, it perpetuates.
Keep the guilt coming. Already.
But as far as the curling iron, like I said, I think those memories were just too painful that I just blocked them out. Thank you.
It was,
I don't know if this is going the right direction or
No.
not.
It's okay. It made us better people. It made us able to be patient with each other.
But I do remember standing there next to her, like waiting for her to be done. And so like she would do a curl, then I would take a brush, then I would do a curl, then she would do one. So we kind of alternated. So maybe it actually was good bonding time. Sisterly curling iron bonding time.
Because I'm thinking all these sweet little girls waiting there, being tortured, and fighting with each other. But Amy said that it helped you to bond. So, I mean, that kind of salved my conscience a little bit.
No, we survived.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we survived and we bonded and we got our own curling irons and hair dryers once we moved out. So,
But it's okay. We did bond, and we all turned out really well. we all have amazing hair.
No, that's why the PSTD thing is standing in. It says,
No, it's okay.
the unwritten rule with the sisters was 6 sisters. I was the oldest, second oldest. We were all downstairs in our own little bloody battle, fighting it out every day. And the unwritten rule was, and it might have been written somewhere too, is that the person who got up the first and plugged in the curling iron had first dibs on the curling iron. So the curling iron would be plugged in, and the person who plugged it in got to stand closest to it and do their hair. The other 4 was just like, you could reach in and curl 1 curl of your hair if the other person was craning or blowing or spraying.
Like watching like a hawk. Because you're like, you did 2 curls. You can't do 2 curls. You have to just do 1 curl.
But then as soon as they need it, you had to just drop it and give it to them, or else they would always say, I plugged it in first. I plugged it in first. The real key was, if you plugged it in first, you had ownership to that, pretty much until you were done. And you could take the whole time before school started to curl your hair if you need.
But I remember that for some reason, it was just like this unspoken rule that whoever plugged the curling iron in that morning had priority. So as far as I can remember, that meant if you plugged it in, you could stand next to it. No one else could have that spot right next to the curling iron. You'd have to wait in line along the counter. And so that person
things were way worse than I thought. Sarah.
As soon as they should happen to put it down for just a brief moment, then you'd hurry and grab it and do your curl. But then if they were ready for the next one, you had to just give it back.
I remember one time army crawling into Amy's bedroom at like 12:30 at night. She'd been asleep for a couple hours. I army crawled into her room, pushed her alarm to see what it was set at, which was like 5:15, which is horrible. So I had to army crawl back out, and I set my alarm for 5:10.
Mindy would try to get up earlier than me, and I think she's told this story about how she would sneak into my bedroom and see what time my alarm clock was set for, and then she would set hers for 1 minute earlier.
So the person who got up the earliest would get that honor to plug it in. So you would set your alarm hoping yours was the earliest alarm set. But then I remember hearing an alarm go off and mine hadn't gone off yet. So I'm like, I would just jump out of bed and try to run in and plug it in.
So I specifically remember not setting my alarm during high school because I knew that around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I would hear my two older sisters not being exactly nice to each other, yelling about who got the curling iron. So I would wake up with them arguing over whose turn it was and who had it and who plugged it in first.
And like we would get up earlier than each other because we knew that if we didn't, we wouldn't have our chance with the curling iron.
It was traumatic, and you just knew you weren't gonna look cute if you didn't plug in the curling iron that morning. And it was the 80s. It was the 80s, 90s.
Well, you had hairdos like
yeah,
this.
it took a lot of work. It wasn't just like an easy thing to do.
Like the more curls, the better. And I think Amy's the only one that had naturally curly hair, so the rest of us just had to get it with our one curling iron.
I don't know what happened when we would go away. Like I had track things and Amy went away overnight. We went away sometimes for a weekend with a friend. So I think we just took the curling iron and it was implied that everybody else didn't have curly hair that day.
And like, so if the girls would go to youth conference, then we're like, the curling iron's gone. They took the curling iron to youth conference. How am I gonna get ready? And the hairspray.
I do have memories of fighting over hairspray. For some reason, that was always a thing.
But one time, I think Amy had taken the curling iron somewhere, and I'm like, I have got to look cute. And so I had a date, and I remember sneaking in there and plugging it in. Which really, honestly, if I would have asked, they were not Nazi parents. They would have been lenient, but I just didn't have. She wasn't home, and I'm like, I have to do my hair.
You know
so
what
I
I
went
think?
in there and did it, and then I ran out, and I just felt guilty. I think when I went off to college, I got my first curling iron and my first personal underwear, but that's another story.
Well, in this whole situation of the one and only curling iron, I found out some things as I've been interviewing, and that was that Mindy was probably by far and away the biggest scamp in this whole thing. When it's your
I am like this because growing up, I had one curling iron. I never said it's your fault.
How did you avoid all the shenanigans of Mindy or deal with them and still get time on the curling iron?
Wow, that is a great question. I would say survival of the fittest.
Just try to figure out why I have this craziness in me. When I'm getting ready for the morning, and if Kyle comes in and he's like, hi honey, kisses me on the cheek, I just like bristle. I'm like, what is he doing? As I'm curling my hair. And then he just kind of backs away.
So you still got PTSD
He backs
from
away
that?
from me. He's like, okay, and he gives me my space. Now that I have 3 that I use, I'm just still so light.
So there really was insanity involved with this.
And I remember one time Amy got done and left, and so then I assumed I was next in line. So I'm like, I plugged it in, and Sarah is like, no you didn't. I'm like, well Amy's gone, and she's like, Amy plugged it in. So then I had to concede and let her have as many curls as me, because truly I had not plugged it in.
What is about that?
Well, I don't remember all the particulars. I wouldn't deny that Mindy was a scamp. I don't remember exactly.
She confessed about setting her alarm just a minute or two ahead of Amy's.
Yeah.
But after crawling in on her hands and knees after Amy was asleep and finding out what
Oh,
time
my word.
Amy actually had set her alarm. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh wow.
That's new.
That's why I said biggest scamp.
Yeah.
And I also have to say, I'm sorry, Amy. I'm sorry. It would have been truly wicked if I would have turned off your alarm. That never dawned on me. I just had to see what time you had it set for, so I could honestly wake up earlier and plug it in.
I think I kind of blocked some of those memories of Mindy trying to steal my curling iron out from in my hand. I'm surprised we didn't get any curling iron burns on us as we were fighting over the curling iron. And oh, one other little side note, Mindy, I think you remember this story.
I had a round brush that I would always blow dry my hair with to try to make it, you know, behave. And that was my secret tool to, you can edit this if you want to, but to looking good and making my hair big and tall. And one time I could not find that brush when I got to get ready in the morning, and Mindy had thrown it in the boys' bathroom underneath the sink to hide it from me so that I could not get ready on time. Or well, I don't know what her thought was. Mindy, you can add to this
We got to
story.
talk about that.
But I
one.
do remember that one very clearly, that I found that underneath in the boys behind some towels, and I was like, Mindy. I don't know if she ever owned up to it or not, but it was true. It was true.
Well, you knew it had to be Mindy, right? It sounds like it all boils down to Amy and Mindy, you know, where the battle took place.
Throw you under the bus, Mindy. Here you go.
It'd be like waiting, and then finally it'd be my turn to curl, and you wanted to take like all your sweet time because you knew your sisters were also watching you like a hawk, so that you didn't do more than one curl, and then you let it go. And if it was a flop, then you're like, I'm just gonna hurry and fix this one really quick. And then Mindy would always be like, I just need to do this one piece, and then we would all get really mad because she would always take it.
But maybe where Mindy was maybe the scamp, as you say, I don't know, is that I think sometimes people would try to fool the system, trick the system and unplug it and then plug it back in and say, I plugged it in. There's some memory of that. You know, so I remember.
that's another twist we hadn't heard.
Yeah.
Mindy didn't confess to that one. Well,
I don't know.
how did you guys avoid conflict? Or did you?
We fought all the time. No, we did not. We did not. We were just so angelic children that we
Oh,
just, you know, we were just so happy with what we had. And Mindy and I were really the only ones. The other girls were just that much younger that they got ready after us. Their bus left, I think, a little bit later, or you don't remember for sure if that's true. But we didn't fight with Sarah, Jill, and Julie. So, and Emily was a baby. So, no, she didn't even have any hair. So, she was okay. She didn't need a curling iron.
Well, she had a little bit.
Tiny.
So the conflict mostly was between you and Mindy.
Yeah, Mindy and I.
Oh, okay.
Love
Well,
you, Mindy.
I have memories of doing this for a long time. And why I would do this is because I'd be waiting for my turn to use a curling iron.
And you would just wait with a piece like this and
Also, a lot of memories of asking sisters if I could borrow their clothes for school. That was always a big thing. I have memories of Sarah in the pink room, like begging her to wear a shirt because I just had to get that perfect outfit, and pleading and bribing.
I have one more memory about the hair though. I just thought of on picture day in 7th grade.
yeah.
I wanted my hair to look amazing, but I didn't have enough time with the curling iron to do it all, so I just had the front done. And I went and like, well, the pictures won't show the back of my hair, but there was a mean person in middle school who was like, why didn't you do the back of your hair today?
Uh-oh.
Because we only have one curling iron, but I didn't say that.
Okay.
It's just one of those things after the fact that you ponder and go, why didn't we change that? In the middle of it, we just couldn't see any options, I
Well,
guess.
hence our spinner, the one and only curling iron.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tara.
So I was stressed. It was a stressful time for me.
Thanks for your stressful insights,
Anyway,
Mindy.
Dad, I have no ill feelings.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jill, thank you.
Thanks, we still love you.
I appreciate it. Good, okay. Cut. Love you, Emily.
I'm still waiting for my turn.
She works across the street on the 17th floor.
Should we wait? Do you want us to look at the camera throughout
No.
this, or just at each other?
Off and on, just
So we
make
should.
it,
It's okay if we make eye contact.
Yeah,
make
oh
it,
yeah.
make it normal.
But
Ask
you're
for
aware
number.
that we had all these great Christmases and all these gifts and everything,
We got
except for,
four-wheelers.
except for one thing that I forgot to get. The year Jill didn't want a doll,
I know.
you know, and then she told me I was expecting to have my eyes filled with wonder, and that haunted me for years.
Well, it's only just
the thing
was
that I
like
can't
that.
get over it is that every Christmas I have this almost compulsion to buy each one of my girls 5 curling irons.
Well,
yeah, if I finally got her
Are
a
you going to
big-
give us the curling iron for Christmas?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? I
Well,
need a
we
1.5
may.
inch barrel. When the morning passed, we didn't think anything else about it. I mean, the morning was terrible, and then when that passed, you're just like, okay. And I don't think the cord reached that far, so half the times it reached out, it unplug and snarkily plug it back in.
You'd
Oh,
be
no.
as by as one big chill from Hearts, and then we would just from Delta to Oak City, we'd pass that big chill around, and everyone just got a swallow. And
I was a terrible parent.
no, you had 10 kids. That's what you did.
Curling iron, and having only one was this, and then she won't. You won't have to ask.
Are you
an
trying to take
answer.
over my mojo?
No.
Okay.
Don't record this. I'm just trying to tell you that it's hard. Sometimes you need to cut down so people want to watch it more, and you probably don't need to say.
Don't you
All
think?
the
Don't
same
you think
things.
this is going to be interesting?
No, yeah, that's really interesting. But if every sister is 10 minutes, it'll be 60.
Well, if it's every,
5
if,
minutes.
yeah, I mean, if it's
Except for
interesting
Emily,
to you-
she
if
was
it's-
just.
If it's interesting to you girls, I guarantee it's going to be interesting to your husbands. They won't have any
No.
choice.
Okay.
They've got to watch it.
Well.
Okay.
alright.